One of the biggest storylines of the 2026 World Cup was FIFA's new technology deciding the outcome of matches in a way that felt wrong to a lot of fans. The Portugal v Croatia game was a prime example of this. To the naked eye, it looked like a perfectly good goal, but the goal was ruled out because a microchip inside the ball had supposedly picked up on a sound. But whilst this was a controversial decision, the wider issue of technology in football is actually way bigger than you think. At the 2022 World Cup, VAR had intervened or overturned 25 decisions across the entire tournament. In 2026, by the round of 16 alone, VAR had already intervened in 50 decisions. Even accounting for the increased number of games, that's still a 10% increase in the rate that technology is getting involved in the outcome of matches. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. The World Cup is just a tiny example of how technology is taking over football and reshaping the future of the game that we all know and love. In this video, I'm going to break down how technology isn't just impacting the outcome of matches, but how it's also controlling the way teams play, the decisions that coaches are making, and how the next generation of players are being developed. But then, at the end, I'll show you the one shining light that could stop football from being completely run by machines. The role of technology in football has been continuously evolving since the introduction of goal line technology back in 2012. But the technology that we have today makes that technology look incredibly basic. Alongside the microchip in the ball, FIFA implemented new semi-automated offside technology at this year's World Cup. Before the tournament, all 1,248 players were individually 3D body scanned to create hyper-realistic AI avatars designed to make offside calls more accurate. The technology was meant to support referees in making more accurate decisions. That was the promise anyway. But in reality, it actually did something completely different. When the system detects an offside, assistant referees get an alert in their earpiece to raise their flag. The AI system has a 10 centimeter threshold, so for offsides that have a gap of 10 centimeters or more, the decision is put entirely in the hands of a machine, without any room for human interpretation. So in theory, some goals that would have stood in 2018 might not stand today. For offsides that are tighter than that 10 centimeter margin, VAR doesn't use live match pictures to make the decision. The system provides a 3D recreation of the scenario. So again, referees are led by what the machine shows them rather than their own interpretation. But offside and goal line decisions are objective black and white calls. So in theory, technology should be able to make those decisions more accurately. What's way more concerning for the future of football is how technology is impacting subjective decisions. The one area of the game that's meant to be safe from the influence of AI and machines is tactics. Not anymore. Google DeepMind and Liverpool collaborated to create a new AI system that designs set pieces, and the results are concerning. The system is called Tactic AI. Think of it as a coach who studied thousands of different set pieces and knows exactly where to put every player. Coaches input a tactic or set piece scenario. The model then predicts what will happen and then tells the coaches which tactics to use based on previous set piece analysis. Given that Google are sponsors of Liverpool, this was just thought to be another fancy marketing campaign. But the feedback from the coaches told a completely different story. When surveyed, 90% of backroom staff said that they preferred Tactic AI's set pieces over those created by human coaches. That's coaches openly admitting that the machine already has the edge over Premier League level tactics. Now you might be sat there thinking, set pieces are an important part of football, but they're ultimately a very small part of a 90-minute match. However, AI's influence over football tactics goes far beyond just set pieces. City Football Group, who own clubs like Manchester City, New York City FC and Girona FC, have created an even more advanced AI system than Tactic AI. Their former head of global data and insights, Lee Mooney, says that it can simulate more football in 24 hours than has ever been played in the entire 150-year history of the sport. For managers, that means they can build a tactic, plug it into the AI simulator, and see how things like pressing structures and formations might work before ever testing it out on the pitch. But it doesn't just stop at pre-match tactics. You see those tablets that managers are always looking at on the sideline? Well, those can now also be equipped with AI software that can live alert managers on the sideline the moment an opponent deviates from their shape or formation and offer suggestions for how to deal with it. So technology is even impacting the way that the game is played in real time too. It can be argued that all of this should improve the quality of tactics that coaches come up with. In practice, however, it presents a far bigger problem for the future of football, which I'll explain now. One of the biggest gripes for football fans today is that so many games feel the same, and it's making football boring. For me, the biggest contributor to this is that now so many teams want to play the same way. Everyone wants to play out from the back, everyone wants to press, and it's making the game feel a bit stale. You might think that AI could actually help solve that issue by offering more tactical solutions, but actually it's the complete opposite. Andy Harland, the Director of Sports Technology at Loughborough University, is quoted as saying that sports is currently in the same position as the stock market. Everyone's using the same algorithm, so everyone's producing the same result. In other words, the smarter the tech gets, the more predictable football becomes. The more that football leans into AI for tactical solutions, the less variation we get between teams. So as coaches continue to chase that 1% edge, we're quietly losing that randomness and chaos that made us fall in love with the game in the first place. That's one of the biggest ways that technology could impact the next era of football. And there's another way that's equally as impactful. The future stars of the next generation of football are out playing on grassroots pitches somewhere in the world, completely unaffected by all of this technology. Or at least they were. AI software is already being used to identify and develop young players all over the world, with platforms like AI Scout already holding data on over 45,000 young players around the world. So scouts don't even need to go and see players play in person anymore. Relying on these algorithms creates the same problems as the tactics software. These systems make decisions based on past success, which in theory should lead football to producing a lot of the same types of players, favouring kids who develop physically earlier, meaning we could potentially miss out on genuinely great players who slip through the net. It's the same pattern everywhere technology touches football. The innovation comes at the cost of the diversity and variety that make the game great. But just as youth football is one of the areas that the impact is most concerning, it's also one of the areas that's best placed to resist the digital takeover. Barcelona's La Masia, the most successful academy of all time, has adapted its development program to counteract the sameness that AI creates. They're deliberately integrating street-style football and unstructured play to protect the human creativity that AI patterns can't replicate. If the best club in the world finds success doing that, then other clubs will follow. There's real science behind it too. Sports scientists studying creativity in football players found that leaning more into unstructured play rather than solely relying on data-optimized training produces substantially more creative players. So as football continues to embrace technology, some clubs are already realizing that human imperfection can create things that machines can't replace. So as football continues to evolve, it's becoming markedly different from the game we all remember even 5 years ago. And if that struggle between the commercial side of the game, whether that's the money or the tech, and the cultural side of the game is something that interests you, then make sure to give the channel a sub, because I'll be breaking it all down here on this channel. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll catch you on the next one.